Hello, I'm a woman in my 40s who learned the painful lesson of how great a sin it is to betray someone who trusts only in you. I never imagined such misfortune would strike my life. The person who brought this enormous unhappiness was none other than my husband, Daniel. However, as they say, luck and misfortune walk hand in hand, and after those difficult times passed, a great stroke of fortune came my way. Thanks to that, I overcame the crisis and am now starting a new life. Let me begin the tempestuous story of my second life. Our family was ordinary, living in a small, rural town. My parents farmed, and my two younger siblings and I lived without much trouble. My father was reserved, but always hardworking and diligent. Many relatives lived in our village, including my grandfather, and we all farmed together. The storm hit our peaceful lives when I was in middle school. One day, my father started losing weight, seemed constantly fatigued, and was eventually examined at a major hospital. The test results were shocking. My father had terminal cancer. At the time, medical technology was not as advanced as it is today, and cancer was considered a much more formidable disease. Eventually, my father passed away after less than a year. I was only 14, my younger sister was 12, and my younger brother was 9. The grief of losing my father at such a young age was devastating, but what happened at the funeral was an even greater shock. I still vividly remember my grandmother grabbing my mother's hair and creating a scene. You killed my son. It's because of you that he's gone. What are you going to do now? What are you going to do? Mother, please let go. Why are you doing this to me? If it weren't for you, my son would have lived longer. Isn't it because you took his life that he got sick? Bring my son back. Bring him back. My grandmother dragged my innocent mother by her hair, and my mother could only cry, unable to push her away. The relatives didn't properly intervene, and my mother had to endure the abuse until my grandmother finally let go. I was deeply traumatized. My mother had just lost her husband and was left to raise 3 children alone, yet my grandmother treated her so cruelly. After that day, we had to leave the house, because it belonged to my grandfather, not my father. My mother took the small amount of savings she had and moved us to Seoul. We were happy just to have a small place to rest comfortably. Despite the move, my mother worked in a pub kitchen in the evenings. Because of this, I rarely saw her, except for the brief moments she was home before her shift. Since my siblings were young, I always looked after them when my mother was at work. Before she left for her evening shift, my mother would always stroke my head and hug me. "Are you coming home late again, Mom?" "Yes, but I'll be back when you're sleeping. Let's just hold on a little longer. When I save a bit more money, I'll quit the evening job. Don't worry." After she left for work, I would care for my 2 younger siblings. It must have been so exhausting and difficult for her to raise 3 children alone. For a woman who had only ever farmed, taking on other jobs was incredibly challenging. At first, my siblings and I were so scared to be alone at home that we couldn't sleep. But when my mother returned from work early in the morning, I would always pretend to be asleep. Then, she would just stare at us, huddled together in one room, for a long time. A few times, I even heard her quietly weeping. Watching my mother, my heart ached. She was younger than I am now, and I couldn't imagine how hard it was for her to live as a widow raising a family. For her sake, I decided to be stronger from that point on. Since our financial situation was tight, my mother was extremely frugal. If there was leftover fruit or snacks from the pub that were still clean, she would gather them up and bring them home. I think she wanted to give us at least that. She would arrange the fruit on a plate, cover it with plastic wrap, and put it in the refrigerator. In the morning, I would take it out and share it with my siblings before heading to school. At the time, I never thought it was dirty or that I didn't want to eat it. Everything my mother gave us felt good. After a few years, our financial situation improved somewhat. However, just as things started to look up, my mother's health began to fail. Working day and night had taken a toll on her health. As a result, I started a part-time job during high school. I worked at a nearby butcher shop, trying my best to contribute to our living expenses. The owner of that butcher shop was a truly kind person. When I first interviewed, I told him about my family's situation, and perhaps because of that, he took great care of me. When I left work, he would often hand me a plastic bag. Really? I can take this? Of course, it's meat we can't sell today and would have to dispose of anyway. Make sure you put it in the fridge. Go quickly, your mother must be waiting. My siblings loved it whenever I brought home the meat the owner gave me. On payday, the owner would often give me a bonus, saying I worked hard, and treated me like a little sister. The owner himself had lost his parents early and started working before finishing high school, so he empathized with my situation and genuinely wanted to help. However, many people viewed his kindness with suspicion. One day, I went to work and felt like everyone was avoiding me, and not talking to me. They were all older than me, and I couldn't understand what was going on. As we were cleaning up before closing, one of them suddenly spoke sarcastically. Well, look who it is. Some of us work here and never get noticed by the boss. Guess being young is the best, huh? I know, right? Who knew she was flirting behind our backs? Are we supposed to call the little girl the madam now? Ugh, I don't want to. What are you talking about? Who's going to be the madam? Look at her pretending not to know. This is why I hate manipulative foxes. Who do you think? You. We all know you're flirting with the boss, and you two have that kind of relationship. It's an open secret. There's no use denying it. What? Who said we had that kind of relationship? I've never flirted. Wow, you're shameless. People saw you flirting. They saw you trying to get on the boss's good side and acting cute, and now you're denying it. We felt sorry for you because you said you were poor, but you're just a loose and scary girl. It turned out that because the boss knew my circumstances and took care of me, one person misinterpreted it and spread a malicious rumor. When the boss found out, he was furious and even fired the main culprit. He clarified that it was absolutely not true, but people's eyes were already filled with suspicion. They would immediately become suspicious if I was just near the boss. Honestly, I was just a part-time worker, and the others were mostly full-time employees, who earned more and received better benefits from the boss, but they focused only on me and treated me so harshly, which hurt deeply. Eventually, I had no choice but to quit. The boss couldn't stop me when I told him I was leaving. It was then that I truly learned how frightening people could be. After graduating from high school, I got a job as an accounting clerk at a small company. I decided that going to university would be too much for my mother, given her poor health. Our financial situation wasn't great, and with my siblings, I felt that college was a luxury I couldn't afford yet, so I started working right away. However, the dream of going to college remained, and after my siblings all went to university, I started attending night classes. There was one man who looked favorably upon this. He was a new male employee who had joined the company. He was 3 years older than me but had almost no prior work experience. He was so incompetent that the CEO actually placed him right next to me, and told me to teach him the ropes. As we worked together, I realized that a person could truly be this innocent and clueless. Daniel was incredibly bad at his job. He was late every day and always wore expensive clothes. I wondered where he bought them all. Yet, he was so brazen and good-natured. Wow, how do you handle your work so well? I look at it, and I'm totally lost. You'll learn if you look at it long enough. You should try to focus more, Daniel. It seems like you keep getting scolded because you don't properly review the documents. Oh, how did you notice that? Do you have a crush on me, Grace? What nonsense are you talking about? Just get back to work. The brazen colleague next to me eventually started asking me out. I refused, of course. Just go out with me once, please. I'm really a good person. My family is well off, too. Just meet me outside the office. No, thank you. I'm not interested in dating, especially not at work. Despite my firm rejection, he didn't give up, and became even more aggressive in pursuing me. At first, I thought he would eventually tire of it, but as time passed, he became more persistent in expressing his feelings. Eventually, I agreed to a few dates outside of work after his earnest pleas, and I began to develop feelings for him, too. He was the first boyfriend of my life. Daniel taught me that a person could receive such warm love. Although he repeatedly proposed marriage while we were dating, I couldn't even consider it. Our family wasn't wealthy, and I felt I needed money saved up for marriage, which I didn't have. But Daniel was relentless and stubbornly convinced me to marry him. Eventually, I gave in, and we went to greet his parents first. When I first went to Daniel's house, I was truly shocked. I knew he came from a well-to-do family, but they were much wealthier than I had imagined. It was a 2-story detached house with a huge yard, a genuinely beautiful house. As soon as I entered, I was so nervous because of the sheer grandeur of the place. I naturally thought they wouldn't approve of me, but the first words Daniel's mother spoke were completely unexpected. "So, when are you two planning to get married? Excuse me. Are you giving us permission to marry?" I was so stunned that they accepted the marriage without any opposition. While I was still in a daze, we ate dinner and had tea at their house, and the mother-in-law smiled as she spoke to me. "Honestly, we were worried sick because our son never thought about getting a job, and just idled away his time. But after meeting you, he's changed so much. He goes to work diligently now. Thank you, truly." "Oh, no, it's nothing. I didn't do anything." "What do you mean you didn't do anything? You changed a son that his own parents couldn't change, so don't worry about the marriage. Don't worry about a thing." It turned out that Daniel's family immediately approved of the marriage, after seeing that their son, who had been irresponsible and caused trouble, had changed after meeting me. And just like that, I got married with surprising ease. After we first got married, we had no money or possessions, so we lived with my in-laws for 10 years. Honestly, I considered living in that large house a blessing. So, I tried my best to be a good wife. I spent every day of my newlywed life constantly nervous. I would wake up early to cook new rice and prepare breakfast, diligently managing the household and trying to keep the house perfectly clean. At the time, the mother-in-law was helping the father-in-law with his distribution business, because his company was growing, so she was always busy. I tried to be even more diligent, so my in-laws wouldn't have to worry about the house. About a month after the wedding, as I was washing the dishes after breakfast, the mother-in-law came over and spoke to me softly. "You don't have to try so hard. Thanks to you, we eat a warm breakfast before leaving, which is nice, but I worry that you're overexerting yourself." "Oh, I'm not overexerting myself at all, Mother. You, Father, and Daniel all work hard outside, so I should at least prepare the meals while I'm home. It's fine." It turned out that my in-laws were self-made. They started their business from extreme poverty, and used to eat and sleep in the office when they first started. They told me that the business grew because things went well. Honestly, I was so busy that I couldn't properly raise Daniel and his sister. In a way, his immaturity is largely my fault. I'm not good at housework. I've been married for nearly 30 years and I'm still clumsy. We always used to reheat leftovers from the night before, but it's so comforting to have a warm, fresh meal every morning. Thank you, dear. That one warm word from my mother-in-law made me incredibly happy. People around me warned that living with in-laws would lead to harsh treatment, but my in-laws never made me feel like an outsider. Instead, they treated me with respect and affection. After getting married, I gave birth to a son, and 2 years later, a daughter. My in-laws adored the children. Before the children were born, they rarely took vacations, but after they arrived, they started taking time off to spend with them. However, the real problem was Daniel. He was too fond of people. He loved socializing so much that he attended every single drinking gathering he was invited to. He often couldn't control his drinking and would sometimes pass out on the street, leading the police to call us for pickup. Whenever I brought him home, my in-laws would apologize to me. "Oh, Daniel. Where and how did you drink this much? Get a hold of yourself." "Oh, Grace, I'm so sorry. Why would he drink like this?" "Mother, please don't worry and go to sleep since he's home now. Maybe the atmosphere at his company hasn't been good lately. It's very late. Please go inside." "My dear, I truly have no words for you. I'm so sorry." Around that time, Daniel faced a major crisis. His company was about to close down. He was in his late 30s, and the pressure of having to find a new job weighed heavily on him. The father-in-law was not yet satisfied with Daniel, so he wasn't willing to hand over his company. Daniel, however, thought that inheriting his father's company was his best path. Caught between his parents' disappointment and anxiety about the future, he often went out and caused trouble. I was the one who constantly tried to persuade the father-in-law. At the time, the children were older, so I pitched the idea of inheriting the business together, promising to work hard alongside Daniel. "Father, please trust Daniel just this once. I promise I will work diligently next to him. Now that he's quit his job, he can learn properly and work hard. Grace, you'll do everything perfectly, but Daniel is still a long way off. Can you really handle him?" "Daniel will do well, too. Please trust us just once. I will make sure he doesn't cause any more trouble, Father." After a long period of persuasion, Daniel finally inherited his father-in-law's business. At first, there were many ups and downs. Daniel seemed to think that becoming the CEO meant he could earn money easily. But what company owner has an easy life? For the business to run smoothly, the CEO has to be the busiest person, and Daniel didn't realize that. So, initially, Daniel struggled and found the work overwhelming. I supported him, worked alongside him, and together we managed the company. Since the business was already well established, Daniel soon adapted and started working diligently as the CEO. Meanwhile, my in-laws retired and invested their savings in real estate. They bought buildings and used the rental income for living expenses. Every week, my in-laws would personally go to clean those buildings. I found them truly admirable. Honestly, with their wealth, they could easily hire someone, but they insisted on doing everything they could themselves. I respected them greatly for that. On my days off, I would follow my in-laws and help them. They always insisted I rest, but I wanted to be helpful somehow. "Oh, dear, we can clean slowly and easily, so why do you insist on coming along? It's fine. It's not hard for us at all. If you don't move when you're old, you get older faster." "Mother, but I can be a help. Besides, I don't have much to do at home anyway. I'm coming along for a walk and killing two birds with one stone. Just buy me something delicious afterward. It's nice to have a date with you and Father after a long time." That's how I diligently took care of my in-laws. There was a reason I went to such lengths. The father-in-law's daughter Clara had studied abroad, and we rarely saw her, and Daniel wasn't very affectionate toward his parents. The in-laws were always sad, feeling they had grown distant from their children because they had lived such busy lives. Seeing them like that made my heart ache. So, instead of the daughter who lived far away, and the reserved son, I wanted to be more affectionate toward them. Of course, my in-laws were wonderful grandparents to my children, providing everything for them, and they were very good to me, too. I saw my care as a way of repaying them. We lived near them, one floor above the other, for 15 years. Then, we moved out into our own house. Then one day, something unbelievable happened. My mother-in-law, who was already in her 70s, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. It was in the early stages, but the news came as a bolt from the blue. My mother-in-law was a brilliant and exceptionally passionate woman, who had worked harder than anyone when social engagement for women was rare. It was hard to believe she had Alzheimer's. After the diagnosis, the father-in-law and I worked hard to slow the progression of her condition. I went to their house almost every day to spend time with her. We played matching card games and went for walks around the neighborhood. During those walks, the mother-in-law would often introduce me as her daughter. "Oh, madam, you're out with your daughter-in-law again today. She's not my daughter-in-law, she's my daughter. Our daughter-in-law treats us better than our own children. Oh, how lucky you are, madam. You have nothing to worry about. The mother-in-law would look incredibly happy when the neighbors said things like that. I, along with my children, spent a lot of time with my in-laws, but Daniel never paid any attention to them. He got obsessed with golf and only went golfing. He often left home for the entire weekend, saying he was going to a golf resort. I couldn't understand my husband's behavior. So, one day, I had a huge fight with him. You're going too far, Daniel. Your mother is sick. You should at least go and see her face. How can you only go golfing all the time? Clear your schedule this weekend, okay? Do you think I golf because I want to? This is business. Business. I entertain clients and discuss business while golfing. Do you think I want to do this? Should I just go to a bar every day instead? Would that make you happier? What kind of talk is that? Have I ever said that? But your mother is sick right now. Your mother wants to see you. Can't you spare some time for her? All right, I get it. I'll check my schedule and go when I can. Don't worry about it. Daniel spoke loudly, but he continued to go golfing, and completely ignored his parents. He only asked me about his mother's well-being, as if she were a stranger's parent, but never intended to visit. It was truly unbelievable how such a son could have been born to such wonderful parents. His sister Clara, who lived overseas, spent a fortune on airfare to visit them quarterly, but Daniel, who lived less than an hour away, rarely visited. Even when I tried to convince him, warning him that he would regret it later, he just used business entertaining as an excuse to stay out. Then, the mother-in-law's condition grew worse. As time passed, she started struggling to recognize people, lost energy, and could no longer eat properly. She was eventually hospitalized. I thought she would recover quickly and be discharged, but I never dreamed it would be her last moment. Her condition did not improve after admission, and during her long hospitalization, her pneumonia relapsed, and she passed away. At the time, our eldest son was serving in the military, and our daughter was 19. Unable to prepare properly for such a sudden loss, we began the funeral arrangements in sorrow. The father-in-law only stared at the mother-in-law's portrait, tears streaming down his face, and his grief pained me deeply. As we were holding the funeral, a man suddenly approached me and handed me an envelope for the condolence money. I had never seen his face before. I asked him, thinking he might be Daniel's acquaintance, "Excuse me, are you a friend of my husband? Who should I say gave this to us? My husband is away for a moment." "No, this is for you. Please open it when you can." "Me? Open it? What is this?" "Open it when your husband is not around. I know your husband's secret. This relates to that secret, so please check it." "Wait, sir. Sir." The man handed me the envelope and abruptly left the hall. Curious about what was inside, I went into the small room, used by the bereaved family, and opened the envelope. The moment I opened it, I sank onto the floor. Inside were photos and documents. The photos showed my husband with a strange woman, posing intimately. There was also a note that read, "Call me if you'd like to know more." The documents and the note contained shocking and horrifying information. The husband I had trusted completely had been doing something I could never have imagined. Sitting there, I was overwhelmed with thoughts about what to do. Should I go out right now and confront Daniel, or should I call the number on the note? I was completely confused. However, the funeral was the most important thing right then. Regardless of what had happened, I couldn't ruin the funeral of the mother-in-law, who had been so warm to me. I suppressed my boiling rage and saw the funeral through to the end. As soon as the funeral was over, I called the number written on the note. The man who answered said he would come to meet me immediately. We arranged a meeting, and when I arrived, the man waiting there was the same man who had come to the funeral. You're the one who gave me the envelope at the funeral, right?" "Yes." "Hello. I apologize for showing up like this. I didn't have any other way to contact you besides the funeral hall. I'm sorry, you must be shocked. Never mind that. What is this? Was my husband having an affair? And who are you? That woman is my ex-wife, Leah. We broke up a while ago. We are not currently meeting. Then why are you telling me this now? If you were going to tell me, you should have done it before, shouldn't you? Why are you telling me this now, of all places, at my mother-in-law's funeral? The thing is, they have a child together. I was absolutely horrified by his words. I hadn't expected that at all. A child? I couldn't believe it. What? What are you talking about? A child? Is that really true? Yes, in fact, I got back together with Leah after she gave birth. She first broke up with me, saying she preferred a rich man, but she said she was abandoned right after the baby was born. She claimed she hadn't known Daniel was a married man. Eventually, I took her back, and we got married. I even registered the child as my own on my family register. But Daniel is a truly terrible person. What? He didn't know he was married? Does that mean my husband pretended to be single? He told her he was divorced, that he had been divorced for a long time. Leah worked as a golf caddy and met him often. She said he was aggressive, pursued her, and told her he felt lonely and loved her. Leah had a difficult upbringing, and Daniel was active with expensive gifts, so she must have been swayed. But she truly didn't know he was married. He only told her the truth when she was in her final month of pregnancy. I was speechless at this man's story. It turned out Daniel had lied to his mistress, telling her he was a divorced man to continue the relationship. When she got pregnant, he promised to take responsibility, fooling her further. But ultimately, in the final month, he confessed he was married and couldn't marry her, even though he promised to pay for child support. He didn't keep his promise and kept avoiding her. I was so angry and infuriated that he could do such an irresponsible and pathetic thing. The man continued, saying Leah felt she was also partly to blame, and was trying to raise the child alone. Then, she met this man, Jason, and married him, and he took Daniel's son and raised him as his own. Jason looked at me with an apologetic expression. Leah really wanted to apologize to you. She feels guilty every time she looks at the child. I think your husband needs to be punished. I kept trying to contact him to at least get child support, but he kept avoiding me and making excuses. A year passed like that, but I couldn't stand it anymore. It seemed like you didn't know anything, so I felt I had to tell you the truth now. After the meeting with Jason, I couldn't move from that spot for a long time. I couldn't believe something like this was happening to me. I gathered all the evidence and gave Daniel an ultimatum for divorce. Daniel didn't offer any defense. Perhaps he knew this day would come, or maybe he expected to be caught. He just agreed to prepare the paperwork without saying a word. I was so angry at his reaction. The person who caused the pain seemed perfectly fine, while I, the one betrayed, was covered in scars. I was so heartbroken and angry that I couldn't sleep all night, the boiling rage consuming me. Naturally, the news reached the in-laws' house. The father-in-law, who must have heard the rough details from Daniel, called me to confirm the facts. After hearing my story, the father-in-law was speechless for a long time. If I was this angry and hurt, how much worse must he have felt? We ended the call without being able to speak properly. A few days later, the father-in-law called, asking if I could briefly come to his house. I went, wondering what he wanted to talk about. The father-in-law slid an envelope toward me. "Father, what is this?" "The property deed. I've already arranged everything, so all you have to do is change the name. This is yours now, the property deed." "What do you mean?" "Grace, I'm sorry. I'm receiving this consequence for not raising my son properly. I feel terrible that I inflicted a lifelong, unforgivable wound on you. I know your wounds won't heal, but I hope this will at least ease your heart a little." What the father-in-law gave me was a property deed worth 1 billion South Korean won, approximately $1 million. He had already spoken to the real estate agent, and all I needed to do was sign the papers. Honestly, I felt so sorry for the father-in-law. This happened so soon after sending off the mother-in-law. and I felt utterly ashamed. However, the father-in-law grabbed my hands and wept. "Grace, I am truly sorry. We couldn't have asked for a better daughter-in-law than you, and I can't believe this happened. You are like a daughter to us. This is the value of your devotion to us for over 20 years. You've given us more than this, Father, but how can I accept this? You spent your whole life building this up. Don't worry, I've already prepared everything for my remaining years. This was always meant for you too. Since Daniel can't seem to get his act together, this is your share. Thank you so much for everything, Grace." I tried to refuse several times, but the father-in-law insisted that I absolutely had to take it. Eventually, I accepted the property. As soon as the news of the property reached Daniel, who had initially agreed to the divorce without much reaction, he suddenly flew into a rage. He declared he would absolutely not divorce me until we split the property. "Did you get the property deed from my father? And now you want a divorce? Did you think I wouldn't find out about you stealing my family's assets? I won't do it. You can't force me." Stealing? Do you have any conscience at all? Not only did you commit adultery, but you had a child outside of marriage, failed to take responsibility, and committed all sorts of shameful acts. How dare you speak like that? If you don't want a divorce, try to stop me. I'll file a lawsuit. Oh, sure, sue me. Sue me. I'll take that land back. How dare you covet our family's bloodline property when you're not even one of us? Who are you to desire that asset? I won't divorce you until you hand that property over to me. I can't. Seeing my husband, whose eyes were bloodshot with greed, I lost all remaining affection for him. Daniel, who had initially left the house, returned and started holding out, declaring he would never agree to a divorce. My son, who was home on military leave, learned the whole truth. Honestly, I wanted a quiet divorce and wanted to hide the truth from the children, but they found out anyway. Despite this, Daniel was shameless. "Father, is this really true? Did you really meet another woman besides Mom and have a child? Is it true?" "Yes, but I'm finished with that woman now. It's over, and it's your mother who insists on divorce. You don't want your mother and father to divorce, do you? Then convince your mother. Think about it, think about it. Your mother is asking for a divorce, even though I don't want one. That's why things are like this. Father, how can you say that? How can you say those words? You are the one who did wrong. A man has to socialize. It happens in the working world. Why are you only taking your mother's side? You'll understand when you start working, too. You'll understand your father then. Understand? Did you say understand? I will never understand you, Father. I will resent you for the rest of my life. How could you abandon your family like that? I will never forgive you. Get out. Get out of this house right now. My son's anger erupted, and he yelled at Daniel to kick him out. Daniel initially tried to resist, but he couldn't overpower his grown son. Kicked out weakly, Daniel finally left the house completely. The children actively encouraged me to get a divorce. I immediately sent Daniel the divorce papers and began the preparations. While the divorce lawsuit was pending, I met an unexpected guest. One day, as I was going home, someone was standing in front of the house. It was Leah, Daniel's mistress. Seeing the face from the photos, I was initially quite flustered. "Hello, I'm Leah M. You know who I am, right? Oh, how did you? I wanted to meet you at some point. Do you have a moment?" "Yes, shall we go to my house then?" I thought about going to a cafe, but since it was in our neighborhood, I ended up inviting the mistress home. It was quite ironic. We went inside, and as I was pouring coffee, Leah, who had been holding her cup for a while, suddenly started shedding tears. I was completely flustered by the sight. "Oh, why are you crying?" "I'm so sorry. I truly am. I'm so sorry." "Oh, no, it's all right. You said you didn't know. I'm sorry. Everything is my fault. I really wanted to tell you how sorry I was, but I couldn't. I'm truly sorry." Seeing the mistress constantly shedding tears and apologizing, I felt a sense of pity for her. She was just guilty of trusting the wrong man. What could I say in that situation? I could only pat her back and comfort her. Although Daniel never apologized to me, receiving an apology from Leah somehow helped me find some peace. I eventually divorced Daniel through the lawsuit. Given the length of our marriage and the recognition of my contribution, I received a fair division of assets. Daniel attempted to sue me to reclaim the property the father-in-law had given me, but since the father-in-law had officially gifted it to me, there was nothing he could get back. Daniel was also hit with another lawsuit, a child support case for the child he had with Leah. Since he knew about the child and neglected his responsibilities, the lawsuit demanded both back child support and future payments in a lump sum. Naturally, Daniel was ordered to pay all the child support. It's been about 6 months since the divorce. My children and I are now stable and living our lives diligently. I often meet the father-in-law for meals and spend time with him. A while ago, my ex-husband started contacting me. When I answer the phone, he says the most ridiculous things. "Hello, honey, it's me. How are you? How's our son?" He won't answer my calls. "Is everyone doing well? What are you so curious about now?" "We're doing fine, so stay out of our business. Since when did you care so much?" "Well, honey, I was wrong. I thought about it, and I realized I was deeply flawed. I'm truly sorry, honey. I realize now how foolish I was. I won't be that way again. I miss you and the kids so much. Can we start over? I promise I'll do better." "Why? If you're lonely, just go do what you're good at. You turned your eye to the outside when you had a perfectly good family. Why can't you manage on your own now? Live like that." "I have no intention of living with a man like you again. And the kids say they don't have a father. They say they can live well without one. How dare you look for them after leaving them with unforgivable scars? You are truly shameless. Don't contact the children again." I hung up the phone coldly. Given the current economic climate, I doubt his business is doing well. It seems he's struggling to manage the company with bank loans. He keeps asking the father-in-law for help, but the father-in-law says he's ignoring him completely and not providing any assistance. He also prevents Daniel from even showing up during the holidays. The reason is to see his grandchildren. The father-in-law knows the kids won't visit if Daniel is there, so he sternly tells Daniel to stay away. Even now, I still go to the father-in-law's house, often to eat and spend time with him. I feel like he's become like my own father who passed away. I plan to continue this relationship with him. My mother is also healthy now, and my younger brother and sister have formed their own families and are living well. Although my 20-year marriage ended, I plan to live even more happily with my children. The painful event that left me with deep scars has ironically given me a new life. I felt like the sky was falling and the earth was collapsing, but somehow, I managed to survive. This was possible thanks to the father-in-law's help, and the good people around me, and I intend to spend the rest of my life repaying that kindness. I believe many people watching this story may have gone through something similar. Scars left by people can be deep and long-lasting, but if you don't overcome those scars and let them weigh you down, they will only grow deeper and more severe. I hope all of you will find the strength to fight and overcome them. They say luck comes after a crisis. I believe that after your current crisis passes, good things will surely find you. Thank you for listening to my story. I will end it here. Thank you for listening. Please join me by subscribing and liking.